We're on Memches Amid Aleph. We mentioned two different opinions as to the 4 amas that were measured. How do you measure them? Well, it was based on the pasuk of Shulish Tachtov. We said either it's 3 amas plus the amount that you need to stretch. That was Rav Meir. And Yudah says your body is 3 amas, and an amma, if you want to remove something from underneath your feet and you want to move it to your head, you need space to do that. So those are the two different approaches. My binayu. So you might want to know what the difference between these two. They seem almost identical. Bottom line is you need 4 amas. So what's the difference? The basis of how you measure that and the reasoning behind it. So the Gemara says, "My binayu, ike binayu, arba amas mutzum somos." Okay, when you have 4 exact amas. So I don't think we did the Rashis. No Rashi. Okay, I thought it was Rashi. Yeah. Okay. So in other words, when you stretch, Pashup Shah, when you stretch, you need more space than when you are just moving an item. So therefore, if you are just moving the item, then it's 4 amas exact. If you're sort of using it to stretch, then there are times you might need a little bit more. So it's a little looser. It's not mitzumsum. It's not exact. So that's an afkamina. Whether we're going to give you exactly 4 amas or we're going to give you 4 plus amas, so a little looser on the measurement. Okay. Now ready to go weiter. So Amalei Rav Mishashi Lebrei. So Rav Mishashi told his son like this: Ki ailis l'kameder of Papa. When you go up to see Rav Papa, boy minei, I'd like you to ask him a shayla about this little 4 amas thing. Arba amas amru ba'ama dideya vinale. When we talk about giving somebody 4 amas in this type of situation, could also apply, as you mentioned, by carrying. We have this concept of 4 amas come up a lot. So when you are talking about giving somebody 4 amas, is it his 4 amas based on his size, or is it a fixed amma of Kodesh, the same amas that existed in the Mishkan, in the base of Migdash, where they had specific pre-made amma, just like they have rulers, nowadays measures a foot, so they used to have these amma measurements in the base of Migdash. And that's what it was. It was 4 of those. It was 24 exact tfachim, no ifs, ands, or buts. Or was it subjective to the person involved in the situation, where if he's a bigger guy, then he would have more amas, more space, because his amma is bigger. So I'd like you to ask him that question, and I sort of have a little bit of a manavshach I want you to go that goes along with it when you're asking Rav Papa. Okay, he says, if he's going to answer you, he's going to give you one of 2 answers. If he's going to answer you that, do you give him fixed or not fixed? If he answers that, I give you a fixed shal kodesh amma, and there's no maneuvering. Okay, if you have a guy like Ogmel Chabashon or Haysacks Calhoun or some of the big people we have in society, well, what are they going to do? I mean, if it's fixed, a guy like that needs more space. Okay, so that's not Yao Ming needs a little bit more than 24 tfachim. And my tail off, what's he going to do? He's going to really be jammed in to a very tight spot. And if he answers you, and if he answers you, well, no, it's subjective depending on the person, I've got him in a question on that direction as well. So no matter how he turns, it'll seem like we might have Rav Papa checkmated here. Emil, I want you to tell him like this: my time gabi yesh shamru hakolafi mashu adam. Okay, there are those cases that have been said that everything, and the Mishnah enumerates those cases where it's all subjective. There are cases where it's all subjective. So if indeed it's subjective here too, how come this case wasn't mentioned amongst those cases? How come the Mishnah enumerates a bunch of different scenarios where it's subjective by the kamitza, okay, what you do with your the 3 middle fingers, with the Garmin Mincha, and then you have the Ketoras and other things like that, where if you're going through it, if this was also a subjective measurement and not fixed, then why not mention it? Okay, my time alloy katani lagabe yesh amra kolofi mashu adam. Okay, that there are cases that that have been said that's all based on the subjective measurement of that particular person. So, which one is it? And whichever one it is, I want you to push for pop up against the wall with the Miman of Shach question. So, sure enough, what happened? Kesel came to Rav Papa. Rav Papa got a little bit annoyed at the sort of, Manav Shach kind of, I got you up against the wall either way you turn. If you're going to be this kind of so exacting in your approach, lo havitanina. Okay, we wouldn't learn anything. You'd be so, I guess, so trapped in your minutia of analysis, you wouldn't be able to get anywhere. You wouldn't be able to move. So let's just take it easy. Lolam, I mean, I don't know why he needed to say this. He had a good answer, so I'm not sure why he had to sort of give him a little stuck there, but he did. And then he answered, really, I'll tell you, the case is b'amadidei. It's subjective. If it's subjective, Yakashi is, how come we don't mention it in the listings of subjective halachic measurements, where it's subjective to the person? How come this is not there? That which you asked, my time why not mention it in those cases which have been said are subjective? And the answer is very simple. Because it's not absolute. It's not always subjective. I've got you really, the answer is that it's not fixed. Sometimes it's subjective when the man is too big, but if the man has a little bit of a unusual circumstance, mishum dika nanas bevarav. Say a man has very short limbs, and he was born with some problems, and has very short limbs, and if you're going to give him exactly. If you're going to make it subjective to his height, then it's going to be a problem, and therefore you have to give him 4 amas straight, because otherwise he will have problems, because he's only an anas in his limbs. Let's see if there's any Rashi here, and because of that, his limbs are shorter. So the idea of stretching, if you measure it with his stretching ability, it would be less. But he still needs a space because his height is relatively normal. Seems like something along those lines. So that would be a problem for this poor guy. So in this case, you go the other way. Basically, you go the way it gives the guy the most space. So it couldn't be listed in the objective arena, in the subjective arena, because it's not always subjective. The time that it's standard, and but it's not a fixed thing at all times. Only sometimes, and that's why it's not.
Saying for the shorter guy, you give him the standard. More space.
Correct.
For the larger guy, you give him
subjective. Correct. Okay, let's see Rashi.
The minimum.
What?
So you know the minimum, you just don't know the maximum. I guess the maximum is based on the tallest person with the longest arms.
Correct. Okay. Actually, there was a little Rashi. Machlokis, it didn't have a heading, so I guess it fooled us. Machlokis, they've made a Shor Shmona al Shmona lihiluch. That was yesterday's more. Rabbi Yehuda Samos, according to Rabbi Yehuda, who talks about being able to, the second opinion talks about being able to move something from his feet to his hands. It's mitzum, it's exact. Rabbi Yehuda, Gedolos, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's more, according to Rav Meir, it's more, larger a little bit. The poshit yadayim v'raglayim yosami amul, because when you stretch, and you need space to be able to stretch out and move your arms and legs, that is more than an amma. So that's where, it's according to Rav Meir, it needs to be a little bit looser. Okay. Now, Ba'amadi Day, so that was, Rav Papa was asked, he was sent, Rav Misharsha sent to his son to ask Rav Papa, what's the deal here? Is it subjective or is it objective? Ba'amadi Day, ish shlefi ma shigufay aruch yesho dalaramis ba'mosei arucha, based on the height of his body, he's given longer amos. Okay, as we said, from the arm to the end of the middle finger, that obviously would be longer depending on the person. Or shal kodesh, l'chol adam amos shavos. Every person gets the same 24 tfachim, gesundheit shalvav tfachim beinanim, middle, in between tfachim. Okay, that makes up an amos. 6 medium tfachim. Lamida shtei amos. Shoy b'shushan abira. Shenasu lemidas amos shel Moshe. So one more time. L'chol adam amos shavos. Everybody gets the same. Shalvav tfachim beinanim. Lemidas shtei amos, to the measure of 2 amos. Shoy b'shushan abira. That was in Shushan. With a little hay. Okay. Okay, I guess they had this measurement in Shushan. That was made based on the Amma of Moshe Rabbeinu, which I guess maybe was double. That was 2 Ammas for the 1 Amma, so something along those lines. But it was a fixed measurement of an Amma. Okay. Maybe that's where they had this set, ruler that measured the Ammas. Somehow was based on Moshe Rabbeinu's. Okay. Gabayesha Amru. So the other side of the question was, if it's subjective, then why not talk about it in the Mishnah in Kalim that lists all the different subjective measurements? Look at the next Rashi. Mishnah he b'sechus Kalim yesh Amru hakol lefi mashu adam. There are those who say that everything is based on the person himself. Malikum say mincha, his kaimetz by the mincha. We mentioned malichaftav ketores. Okay, the handful by the ketores. Malugvav b'yom kippurim. The cheek full by Yom Kippur. It's his cheek, not anybody else's cheeks. With mazon shtei sudos le'eruv, in the amount that he would eat for 2 sudos for eruv techumin. Listen, ami dalan amas liyotze chutz chum, and let also in this measurement be going the limitation of having 4 amos. Once you leave the chum, it's a subjective 4 amos depending on your height. Why not throw it in there? And the answer is because it's not absolute that way. So Rav Papa sort of made a little bit of a sarcastic remark. If you be this analytical and sort of like pikiyuni throughout the Talmud, you have a metzinul truth they called diuke. Okay, we would not be able to answer all the diukim v'lo v'tanina. We wouldn't learn. We wouldn't be able to learn. I mean, interesting, because he did have an answer, and like, what's he saying? That we shouldn't be analytical? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like such a, overly technical question, but somehow I guess he felt he was being overly, picky or something like that. He says, Mishum de'ikananas be'evarav. So, and the reason why it's not always across the board, because you might have a person who's sort of a midget in his limbs. Shegufay benini, his body is normal, is an average normal body. V'amosay kitzara. Okay, but his arms are very short. V'osagile bi'amadi day, and if you measured his amas based on his ability to stretch, it would not be very far. How far can you stretch when your limbs have been, cut short? So it's going to not be a fair, place measurement to take. It says, in order to accommodate him, you got to give him the Amos Shal Kodesh. You got to give him the set, fixed Amos of the Beis HaMikdash, which would give him some more space. So out of fairness to that guy, you can't put it in the Mishnah because it's not an absolute situation. It does not go across the board. There are times that you make it the fixed Amma. Okay, and that takes care of that issue. Okay, so let's proceed.
So we're trying to figure out how to measure the full 4 amos, not just the extra, right? The full 4 amos?
Oh, yeah.
The full 4 amos, okay.
Right,
because
and
otherwise his body wouldn't fit in an amma of 4 times his amma. His entire body wouldn't fit.
Yes, okay, yes.
Right, that's where...
Yeah. Okay, no, you're saying... right, his amma, right, because his body needs regular ammas because his body is normal, but his arms are not, and you measure the amma by his arms, since they were cut off, you'd be short. Yeah, I wasn't clear. That's correct. Okay. So, fine. So that takes care of that, and that's why we...
That was Medayik Kulei Hai. No, we figured it out.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. So, so now we're ready to go right. The next 2 dots. Hayishnayim mixas amosav shalzeh. So we had the Mishnah had spoken about the case. We had the 3 guys, and each one had overlapping amos into the middle guy, but none of the outer guys overlapped into each other. So it comes out that the middle guy and each end guy could connect, but the two middle guys, the two outside guys can't connect. So, right, and Reb Shimon said, this is similar to the case of the Chotzer. So I think more wants to learn like this. Like it just seems a little funny for Reb Shimon all of a sudden. He says this is what's going on, and then what's it comparable to? And he runs to the case of Chutz. Like, what's he doing with that Lamad Avadomer? What's that really teaching us? This Lamad Avadomer. So, and the answer is Hachikama. Let me explain to you what Reb Shimon is trying to say. Because normally Lamad Avadomer is a case where you're trying to prove your position from this universally accepted case, and it doesn't seem like there's much controversy here. There's more controversy there. So it's a little bit funny the way the Mishnah is written. Normally that case that you bring is a universal case, and that is used to convince the others of this case. But this is but let me explain to you, says the Gemara, what's going on here. This is what Reb Shimon is saying to Rabbanan. Michdi. Let's analyze this now for a moment. These three guys are similar to a case of three chatzeros, that are open to each other, and are also open to Rishus Rab. So Maishna Hasam. So I don't understand, says Reb Shimon to the Chachamim, Maishna Hasam to Palgisu, or Maishna Hachad Loi Palgisu. Here we all agree. By our case, there's no controversy, so why don't you agree that in that case too, that the fact that the two outer guys never merge, that should prohibit them from carrying to each other's chatzeros? Why don't you agree? You agree here, so it's really the reverse of what normally happens. Normally the outer case is brought to clarify the case at hand. Here, the outer case is brought to convince the people there, the Chacham there who argue, that what's the difference? Why not just join the bandwagon and apply the principle in both cases? I can't connect here, I can't connect there. But there you seem to connect, and here you argue, there you argue with me, and here you agree with me. Okay. Rabbanon, and the Rabbanon will say, Hossam Avshe Diorin, Hochel Avshe Diorin. There are many people living there. It's not just the three of you. Here, there's not a lot of people, so there's not room for any confusion. Or let's see what Rashi says. So Ma'ishta Hasam Hayishnayim Masisam Prishna Le'el. Okay, so Rashi already says, I'm not going to go through this now because I already explained to Rashi earlier. So Gemara wants to know this, and now the Gemara is explaining Reb Shimon. Ma'ishna Hasam to Bagis V'dam Rabbanon L'kamon B'shmaitz and Shloshon Asurin L'tatel Zem Zem. Okay, that there you're. I'm sorry, no, not that you agree that it's mutter. You agree that nobody can carry, right? The Rabbanon argue, while Reb Shimon says the middle guy can carry to the two outers, and the two outers can carry to the middle, but they don't. And that's what Reb Shimon says, and it's the same thing over here by Tchumen. While there, the Rabbanon argue, but they don't argue lahakel, they argue lahachmir, that nobody can carry anywhere. This is a messed up situation and cannot be carried. So what's the difference? Why don't you at least admit that the middle guy can go to the outer areas? And the answer is Avshe Diorim. Diori HaChatzeros Rabim. There, when you have three Chatzeros, you have generally at least two homes, generally speaking, in each Chatzer, and you certainly have many people potentially in each home. It's not common to have one guy per house. So you have many people involved in the living quarters of these three Chatzeros. So Diorei HaChatzeros Rabim. There are many people living in these Chatzeros. And it's going to be very hard for every one of them to be careful with all of this allowances that are going on. If you're going to allow the middle guy to go to each outer and the outer guy to go to the middle guy, not everyone's going to get it. They're going to see what's going on, and there are going to be people who just don't understand. Okay, there's no way. And they're going to come to allow Kalim that rested in the outer one, they're going to end up in the outer other one because you allowed them to go to the middle one, and then why not go to the other outer one already? What's the big deal? They don't really understand the implication of what just happened here. So to the naked eye, if each outer one go to the middle one, let's just keep going and go to the next outer one, which there the law is you can't go. So how could you compare case where you have only 3 people involved. You have 3 Joes, each one with their own little box. They're going to know what's happening. There's not a lot of people to get confused. But it's not the same case by the Chotzer. So there are Chachamim much more machmer there and say nobody can carry anywhere. Okay, fine. Okay, so that's it for Rashi. Let's proceed. Ushtayim achitzonos. Right? So the Shimon continues and he says the 2 outer ones can go to the middle one. Okay, and the middle one go to the 2 outer ones, but the 2 outer ones can't go to each other. So V'amai, the Gemara now attacks this very position about the Eruvin Chatzeros halacha that Reb Shimon holds, comparing it exactly to the Tchum case. V'amai, I understand, because kivan the avilu chitzonos b'hadei emsois, so now the Gemara is attacking the halacha. Why is it that you can't go outside? Since the outer ones did make an Erev Bahadei Emsois with the middle guy, doesn't that merge all of us now? Don't we have a common, we both have a common partner in the middle guy. So that should, things, not exactly things equal to the same, things are equal to each other, but that certainly does merge me with you. Because if we have a common middle guy, and we both have a chelik with him, why shouldn't that allow me to go from me to you? Okay, this is not just a kasha on Reb Shimon, so it's a kolshki and a kasha on the Chachamim who say nobody can carry anywhere. So one more time, since the outer chatzeros made Eruvin chatzeros with the middle guy, that should merge us as one. Let's see the first answer. Some review the Kagon Shenosno Emsois says Mar seems to say you're right. In a typical case, that would be the halacha, that the fact that we both have a common partner in the middle chutzner, we're all good to go. Except when Shenosno Emsois Eruva Bezu ve'Eruva Bezu. The Erev didn't go into the middle guy's house. If the Erev had gone into the middle guy's house, you'd be right. That we each have something in common with the middle fellow, so that now we're all partners and we're all good to go and we're all one big happy family. But the case is where the middle guy put his chutzner, he put his Erev in the outer chutzner of one and the outer chutzner of the other. So now there's nothing in the middle that's merging us, and that's not good enough. Let's take a look at Rashi. Amai, why should this halacha be the way it is? Kivna arvi chitzonot by the emsois hevlu chada. V'lishtri kulam, let them all be mutter. It's a little bays. Okay, brachas. Okay, no, it's a different bays. Here it is. Mashal meichik zeh, b'nei de lama. Okay, fine. So let's just read it through. Okay, v'lishtri kulam, the dami commanded dari hasam damya, because they all should be mutter to carry into each other's chatzeros, because it's like we're all living there. The b'nei chatzer shirvu. Okay, because if the people of the Chutzner who made an Erev, Yavu Kula Eruvin B'Baisechad, okay, and they put all of their Erevs as they merge into one house, the Damakila Daira Kula B'Osabais, right? That's the whole lumnus. We all have a share. It's like we all live in one. We all now have this common bond of that food that bonds us, that I'm like living here, you're like living here, so we're all living together. Okay, a Kila Daira Kula B'Osabais for Chutzner. V'chotzer. Now, who bias have v'chotzer do bias have a? Okay, and this chotzer is of that house because that's where I'm living. So now my chotzer now really belongs to your house. Or mishtri ba, and that allows me to carry in it. Hachinami damu commanded dari kulu b'chotzer. I'm sorry. Let's argue that we are all like living in the middle place. So if we all have a bed or a bread or whatever that bonds us into that middle place, we should be all connected, and that should allow us to walk through the chutzers, the chatzeros. Right, the Gemara's havamin is that you put the bread in the middle chutzer. Again, because that's the normal rule and the normal rules of engagement by Eruvin Chatzeros.
Okay, can you remind me why is it that they're restricted to the 4 amas in the first place? What was the case there? There's 3 diorim, right? There's 3 people,
right? But
each
why?
one has their own individual 4 amas.
No. Oh, you're talking about the Tchum case?
No, this one. Yeah, this one here. Yeah.
No, but this is chatzeros. Chatzeros is not dalaramas. This is about carrying from one chutzner to the other.
3 backyards. Oh, this is the outer one.
Remember, if Shimon said it's comparable to a case where you have 3 backyards and the 2 outer guys.
So this is chatzeros. Okay,
yeah, this is chutzner we're talking about, right? So, and that was his question. How come you agree with me by tchum and yet you argue you're machor by chutzner and okay, right, okay, right. But we're talking about chutzner, and now we're at the point we're arguing and we're asking why gufa is it also? Why isn't the fact that if the 2 guys put their chutzner, their eruv in the middle guy's chutzner, even though they never did anything together, the fact that they have a middle guy, they're sharing the middle guy, that should be enough to make it one big happy family. So one more time, okay, first wide line. That they put their eruv, both outer guys put their eruv in the middle chutzner, which is a normal judgment or rules, I should say, of the eruv chatzeros. Stam chutzner, and now Rashi gives us some background. Stam chutzner yeshol batam harbe. A typical chutzner has many homes. Utzrichem b'nei abatim la'arav yachad. Okay, and the homes need to merge with each other. Vishabayis miyuchad chol echad. Right, this is now some fundamental rules. I'm not sure why he chose now to tell us this, but certainly we learned this before, that a bayis is private. Right, each bayis has its privacy, and now by going out to the chutzner, that's a different level of connection. So if you want to carry to the chutzner, which is a more open domain, you're going to have to merge with the other homes in that chutzner. That's just each chutzner independently. A bayis is unique to each owner. And the chutzner is that merged open area. Okay, and it's usher without a special action to go from one rishus to the other. Below eruv. Okay, you cannot go from a house to a chutz without an eruv. And you place that eruv in one of the homes. And when in a case where this chutz now becomes open to another chutzner, right? So now they want to merge and be able to walk to the middle one. For rotzen, and you want to make the chatzeros now one, as opposed to you already made the chutzner part of the house. You took care of that, but now you want to be able to carry to the middle guy's chutzner. So noitlin erev shegovim abatim. You take that very same box of matzah that you collected from everybody and you put it in one of the homes to take care of this one chutzner and the homes of that chutzner, and also so be'echa mibat chutzner cheres. All you got to do, you don't need even another box. Rashi is saying, you take that box of matzah, you put it to the middle guys, and now we're good to go. V'chihadra emsois, continuing in Rashi, v'chihadra emsois, v'irba de idach. Okay, and now when that middle guy goes and now makes an eruv with the outside guy in the other direction, the shichus de chitzona avdai, I'm also representing my other chutzner. I already made a partnership with that guy, so now whatever I am, he is too. So when I merge with the guy in the east, I already have a partner from the west. So now the east and west are now connected. So the middle should merge everybody. It should be one nice, happy family. We don't mention that, so that particular line is not mentioned until later. Okay, fine. So forget that I said that, sort of. Okay, even though, we're going to say it, but not exactly here. So, shenosna emsois eruva bezu ubezu. So the first answer was that you have a wrong understanding of the case. And had they put their box of matzah in the middle one, then you'd have a good argument. Okay, that there should be one big merger. But the case is that the matzahs went outward. Okay, shenosa emsoas eruva bezu bezu. The damyil emsoas kiludora behen. It's like I'm now living in your chutzner or your homes. The ein diyore chitzaynos the emsoas. And when there is no, I guess you could argue with this, but this is the answer, that in other words, when there's nothing, when the middle guy is not connected through the Eruv being in his area, and he now moved 2 boxes of matzahs into the outer areas, then there's nothing, it's too distinct to the outer people, and there's nothing on the middle merging the 2 outer chevra. Vein dori chitzonos be'emsoyos. There is no living aspect of the outer ones into the middle one. Okay, it's like you're living with me. I'm not living with you. You're living with me. By you moving your matzah into my chutzner, you moved into my area. So yes, the two of us have a nice relationship, and you and the other guy have a nice relationship, but I get nothing to do with that guy. Because you came to me, I didn't come to you. To be able to say that we're all one big happy family, that does not work in this scenario. So even though you can argue what's the difference? If we're merged, but apparently where that matzah is actually matters. That's teretz number one. That was Rav Yehuda's answer. Rav Sheshes Omar, back to the Gemara, last line on the page. Rav Sheshes Omar, afilu tema shosei be'emsoros. I don't buy this. It's the same thing. You're getting so technical as to where it is. We're merged. If we're merged, you're merged and with him. I'm merged with you. So we're merged with each other, and all three can carry. And that would be the halacha if it would be for another factor. So Rav Sheshes has a different answer. And here he says, it would still be true that you'd be allowed to carry. So why can't you carry in our case? The answer is going shenasnua b'shnei batim. You put it in two different homes. What does that mean? You didn't. The matzahs are not in one place. If they would be in one place, let's see here. The hashaloi mechaberes chitzainas be'adadi. Well, okay, but if
it's not three homes, it's
what?
Two batim in the middle chutzner.
So that's we've been thinking of it as three homes. So now,
right?
I guess there are more.
Is that what it is?
Well,
two batim in the middle chutzner.
Yeah, well, right. Rashi already said they're typically at least two batim per chutzner, and so even if they merged in the middle one, okay,
Even if you merge the
outer ones.
yes.
I mean, well, he says the case could be. I feel maybe he agrees. Maybe no. Let's the Rashi Rav Sheshes. No, let me take that back. No, Rav Sheshes might agree with Rav Yehuda that when it's in the outer ones, maybe it doesn't work. But you don't have to limit the case to that case, right? According to Rav Yehuda, had I put the ones in the middle, it would have been fine. The only answer is that they had to be in the outer ones. Now, Rav Sheshes seems to be saying you don't have to say that, even if they put it in the middle one. But it doesn't seem like he's arguing necessarily. It seemed like if I cared from the Lashon, it seemed like I would agree to you, but you don't have to limit it to that case. Even if you put into the middle one, the case is you put into two different homes in the middle one. The hashta, Rashi says, top Rashi, the hashta loy mechabrin chitzon badadi. The other ones are not merged because we did not put it in the same house of the chutzner. So where you put it seems to matter. Really? Where you put it seems to matter? Is that so clear? What? Kebei Shammai, says the Gemara? Come on, Kebei Shammai. You wanna now tell me that in order to make sense out of this, you want to now adopt Bei Shammai's position? That seems to be a tough place to go. We don't really like doing that, as we know. Halach is always like Beis Hillel, for the most part. What? Kaman Kebei Shammai? The Tanya, because you learned in the Brisa. Chamisha Shagavu es Eruvin, 5 different homes that wanted to merge to be able to carry, like we just said. They want to carry in their chutzner, so they gather up their common matzah, or their challah, whatever it is, v'nasnu b'shnei kelim, and they put in 2 different kelim. They didn't put all the challah into one receptacle. They put the challah rolls into different receptacles. So does that make a difference? That messes up the merger and the connection. So we not all 5 merge in one because we have 5 in 2 different. We have our 5 challahs in 2 different kalim. So the ones who merge.
Are they in the same building?
Yeah, same building with 2 different receptacles.
Different boxes.
Yeah, right. So Beis Shammai is very strict about it. It's got to be 1 keli. And Beis Hillel says Eruvin Eruv. Beis Hillel Eruvin Eruv. The Eruv is an Eruv. So don't you see? Look at Rashi. They were living in one chutzner. So they went ahead and merged in order to allow them to go out to the chutzner. We need Eruvei Chatzeros to make it work. Okay, that's what every technically every apartment building, would need to do, if there wasn't already a Eruv made for them, they would have to merge the people together in with condos. I don't know, apartment building maybe have a heta, but let's say if each one has its own condo. So how are we going to carry to the common area? You're going to have to make an Eruv to merge them. So, and you put them in b'shnei kelim b'bayis echad. It's one house but two utensils. Okay, so you see that Beis Shammai is the one who has a problem with different utensils. He probably would have a problem with different houses in one chutzner as well. But Beis Hillel would seem to say if two different utensils would work, two different houses within the same chutzner should also work. What's the difference? We're not going to get picky about the situation. So what? You're telling me that in order to defend the Mishnah of Reb Shimon's going to have to go like Beis Shammai as opposed to Beis Hillel? That's a tough sell. Mara says, no, no way. You don't. I'm not going to pigeonhole Reb Shimon into Beis Hillel. Afilu tema Beis Hillel. I'll tell you, really, the halacha could follow, and this opinion of Reb Shimon could follow Beis Hillel. Ad kalakamer Beis Hillel hasam. When did Beis Hillel say it's all fine and dandy? El b'shnei kelim bayis echad. Okay, when it's two different utensils, but it's in the same house. If it's in the same house, at the end of the day, it still looks close enough. But if you have two different homes, that already is too distinct of a separation, and it will not work. And the taka leads to confusion, and it doesn't become one. So we're making that distinction between two kelim in one house versus two different eruvs in two different houses, and that taka blocks the merger. Is there any Rashi? No Rashi. We'll pick this up tomorrow.